Gun Rights Radio Network has the best pro-Second Amendment, pro-gun rights podcast available on the net. The podcasts are absolutely free when subscribing using iTunes or Zune Marketplace. Or if you want, you can just listen from the website. Make sure you visit gunrightsradio.com to subscribe. Podcasting freedom, one episode at a time.
So welcome back to Power Factor. I'm Steve.
I'm Rick.
So today we're going to talk about how to find a club and to start getting active in shooting.
And this is, again, contributing to our initial series, working up to shooting your first match. There's going to be certain requirements at the local and national level, one or the other or both, before you can actually shoot a match. Some people, they don't know where's the nearest range that has a club, and that kind of thing. So we're going to kind of facilitate your ability to get involved at the club level, where to find a range to shoot, and which memberships and requirements you might have before you actually shoot that first match.
Basically what hurdles you may face along the way.
So how would we find a club?
Well, in terms of USPSA, if you go to uspsa.org, there is a club finder there, and you put in your state, and after you put your state in, it will pop up a list of clubs for that given state. So I would recommend going to uspsa.org and go and basically put your state in there and follow along the lines of that. Once you find a local club, then the next step is to contact the contactee that's listed for that club and to talk to them about what it takes to basically get involved in shooting USPSA matches in that area. USPSA has a concept of sections. Actually, to make this into a higher level, they have areas and then sections within that. So in our case, we were in the area one, and then within area one, there are multiple sections. We're in the northwest section. So what you need to do is contact your club operator that's close to you and to talk to them basically about what it takes to get involved in shooting competitions.
And the sections and the areas are geographically divides the country up into geographical areas. So, for instance, Area 1 is mostly the northwestern part of the United States. And then the northwest section is the section of clubs that are kind of clustered around the greater Seattle area. In our case, we've got 6 clubs in our area. They're kind of like within an hour to an hour and a half drive of downtown Seattle. Now, IDPA has a similar club finder set up on their website. Go to idpa.com, find a club, click on your state to get a list of contacts, emails, phone numbers, find the club that's nearest you. And you may find more than one club that's near you, and you may want to do a little additional research to find out how long has the club been around, what kind of facilities do they have. Some clubs are shooting indoors. That kind of limits the variety of the kind of stages they shoot. If you get sucked into it completely, like some of us do, you'll be shooting all the local section matches, traveling around from every weekend to wherever the matches are being shot. But yeah, find your local club, contact the person listed on the website, and they'll probably be able to walk you through requirements for shooting at their range. There may be local rules that they have for anybody to, even though on the national level, you don't have to be a member of USPSA to shoot a USPSA match at the local level.
Right.
They may have requirements that you fulfill certain basics before you're allowed to shoot. Now, what might those requirements be?
Well, in terms of USPSA, like Rick's pointing out, is that there is no baseline requirement. The USPSA has something referred to as a recommended safety check. And the different sections, to a certain degree, have liberty about how they allow or what they require of new shooters who are coming into the game of kind of like a base level experience. In our particular section, they require that everybody has been through a safety check, and it's primarily a safety issue, making sure that everybody understands the safety concerns that are involved here, but it's also kind of an orientation into proper demonstration of technique. So we're talking draw, grip, stance, reloading, engagement of multiple targets, movement, things of this nature. A typical safety check, is a baseline safety check, can take anywhere from maybe about an hour to 2 hours, depending on just exactly what the instructors are going to cover. And again, it's really a beneficial thing for new people to get involved with. of going through this from a standpoint of safety concerns, because that's what everything is all about here, is making sure that everybody has a certain safety level, not only for the competitors, but also for everybody else to basically know that the people that they're shooting with have been through some sort of formal safety training, so that, all of a sudden you don't end up with somebody new in the range that you don't really know their abilities.
Yeah, and generally the individual you've contacted at the range will make it known to you, yes, we have this safety check that you need to apply in advance to get an appointment and whatnot. At our IDPA club, we've established a same-day safety check that we do the morning of the match. We require that anybody who's either a new shooter to the sport or new to shooting the IDP at our range shows up an hour and a half before the match, and we essentially run through this basic introduction. And in an hour and a half, you can't teach safety skills.
Right.
You can't teach people to be a good shooter, but it's plenty of time to have the person demonstrate whether or not they're up to speed enough that they can safely compete. And it's something we've got to, again, like Steve said, not just are they safe for their own sake, but you've got as many, like our club matches locally here, both across IDPA and USPSA, there may be 50 to 100 shooters on the range. You got that many people with a gun in their hand, and you got to make sure that for everybody's sake that everybody has a certain safety level rules, and that they can be trusted essentially. So it takes a little bit of time to demonstrate those skills that at the most basic level, apart from can they follow the rules and can they follow the procedures on the courses of fire once this match has started.
But this is something you definitely need to contact your local club rep and find out what the requirements are in that particular, in your particular section, for you to get involved in the sport. Now, in terms of USPSA, Rick pointed out that there is no requirement that you are actually a member of USPSA to shoot local matches. USPSA kind of breaks things down into what's called a level 1 or club match, a level 2 or sanctioned match, and then a level 3. There's level 3, level 4, level 5, but primarily level 3, and these are your area championships, your national championships, things of this nature. You can shoot club matches or level 1 matches without being a member of the USPSA, but to shoot any of the sanctioned and higher matches like level 2, level 3, you must be a member of the USPSA in order to compete at those events.
Now, if you're not required to be a member, how does USPSA get their operating funds to run the organization?
Well, that's an interesting question. USPSA, I believe, charges $1.50 or something like that. It's some minimal figure. I'm not sure what it is offhand, but they require that when the clubs submit their match scores to the USPSA, that they submit also a certain amount, $1 per head, so to speak, of each individual shooter. So the clubs are submitting, regardless of whether the people are USPSA members or not, it's an activity fee effectively to the USPSA, and that's where the USPSA gets its funding from.
Now, IDPA runs it somewhat differently in that none of the fees collected at the match go back to the national organization, but every shooter is required to be an IDPA member. So while USPSA takes a little bit of every match fee from every shooter as part of their operating funds, IDPA gets all of their funds from their annual membership dues of the members. So you can shoot USPSA, again, like Steve said, on the local level without being a member. IDPA, you must be an IDPA member to shoot. But then what are the benefits that follow on from that membership?
Right. So the next question is going to be, well, why should I even bother joining the USPSA if I'm not required to shoot local club matches or anything like that? I mean, your intent may not to be compete at the higher levels. You may just want to shoot local matches and from there on out. And to be honest, that's what I did for about 2 or 3 years. But when I started kind of getting fully into the game, I started seeing the benefits of joining. And primarily those benefits are the classification system that the USPSA has set up. And basically what that amounts to is that there are certain courses of fire that the USPSA has, which are called classifier courses of fire. And you shoot that course of fire, and then your performance on that course of fire is then weighed against the top shooters in the country. And from that, you are given a score. And eventually that score becomes your rank or class. So that's your mechanism for becoming a classified shooter. You kind of really find out where you actually fit in the national scale. You may be the big fish in a local pond, but you don't really know how you relate to everybody else in the country until you actually weigh your scores against them, and the classification system is the means for doing that. The other thing is that the USPSA puts out a really good magazine, in my opinion, called Front Sight, which comes out bi-monthly. There's a lot of good information in there, tips from grandmaster shooters, information on reloading, information on guns, things of that nature. So I think there really actually is a lot of benefit to joining the USPSA besides just the ability to shoot level 2 and higher matches in the classification system and also the magazine.
And IDPA has a similar magazine, Tactical Journal, which comes as part of your annual dues. And you also get announcements and whatnot in the magazine. So much information today is done electronically. You can get subscribed to various forums and whatnot to get unofficial information. But a lot of times, the first you'll hear of something, unless you really got your pursue finding information about it. When you get the magazine in the mail, they'll have rules changes, things that will affect you on a week-to-week basis if you're shooting regularly, and the first you might hear of it is seeing it in the publication. So it's certainly worthwhile benefit from joining the national organization.